Hey, welcome back, guys. It's wonderful to see your smiling faces today. So far, in our quest to draw a portrait, we have learned about eyes, noses, and mouths, all being put on top of our basic construction lines. Today, we're going to move to the sides of the head and start drawing the ears. It's important to note that the eye line is the top of the ears, and the nose line is where the bottom of the ears are. And that helps us to get the ears the right size, but it doesn't help us to figure out how far out they should poke. Now, if you draw the ears sticking out way off to the side like that, that's going to look a little goofy. On the flip side, if you draw the ears too narrow, that will also look quite goofy. If you draw the ears way too thin, way too narrow. So getting that just right is kind of difficult to do. If you're following along with my printed portrait construction sheet, I've kind of drawn in a certain size here that notice what it does is it's about level with the side of the cranium. Now, not everybody, but most people, the top of the head, the cranium, does come out a little bit at the top. And in that case, the ears should be about level with the side of the cranium, but some people's head is a little more flat and doesn't curve out as much. Some people's head is a little more flat, in which case we need to consider that the ears are going to stick out a little. But here, we're not trying to draw any specific person's ears. We're just trying to generally draw some ears. Almost every ear has an upper earlobe where it curves up as it comes out of the side of the head. Not every ear has that at the bottom. Some people do have an earlobe at the bottom. This would be where a earring would hang. But not everybody has that. Some people's ears do curve down like that, but some people's ears, where they come out of the head at the bottom, just end up going straight out and up. They don't bump down. Now, those are the two main ear shapes. One would just be a curve coming up at the bottom, and the other would be a bump down before the curve up. Look in a mirror or look at a person and see what kinds of ears you see. For my portrait here, I'm drawing these earlobes at the bottom because that is the most common way we see ears. Also notice that about halfway up, the ear gets a little wider, or if you're drawing from the top down, halfway down, the ear gets a little narrower. That's common for ears, but not always. Some people have a rounder ear, where it's just a simple curve all the way up, and some people have a more of what we call an S curve in their ear, where it curves in then out again. Now, as far as all those lines go that are here in the middle of the ear giving a lot of detail, if you were looking at a profile where you see the ear from the side of the head, you're going to need to get real detailed on all of those lines. And while I could go into some detail here about the common shapes of how these different lines usually end up looking, instead, ears are a much less important part of the portrait. So instead of trying to focus on every little detail, we can just do a scribbly-doop-dop. Oh, what? A scribbly-doop-dop. In case you were under a rock and you missed that, I'm going to do the same thing over here. Again, I've got an earlobe on top. I'm going to make the bottom half a little narrower, not much. I got an earlobe on the bottom, hanging down. And for all of those wiggly, weird lines, the details inside the ear, just a scribbity-doop-dop. That's how simple it can be. If you want to get detailed, everyone has different little lines in their ears, usually starting with a sort of almost diamond-y shape at the top and a little triangle and then some little wiggles. But again, Why go into all that detail? When you're looking from the front of the face, you're not gonna see all of that detail. So just a scribbity-doop-dop is all you need. They don't have to be exactly the same. They don't have to be perfect. One last thing though, if you want these ears to look a bit more feminine, you can add earrings. A lot of ladies like to wear earrings. Some dudes do too, but it's typically we consider it to be a feminine trait. And we need to consider that the most common place is right here in the bottom earlobe, or right here in the bottom earlobe. Now, depending on what kind of earring you're gonna draw, you may or may not draw the dot, the hole in the ear. For example, if I'm drawing a stud, I might just draw a diamond shape there and leave it at that. If I'm drawing a hoop style earring or something dangly, then I might draw a little dot and then draw the earring hanging down from that. Now, if it's a hoop style, we need to consider that it's going to overlap behind the ear on one side and in front of the ear on the other side. And also, we need to give it some shape, some three-dimensionality. We don't want it to just be an oval. We want to give it some thickness. And you can play with that and do whatever kind of earrings you want. That's how easy it is to draw ears. I'm gonna erase this one because I'm kind of drawing a dude here. And there you have it. That's all there is to drawing ears. Just a scribbity-doop-dop and you're done. Now, okay, I guess there's one more thing we got to consider, and that's shading. With all these different parts of the face, we've been considering that a light source is shining in from the top right. If the light is shining in from the top right, then this ear on the left is going to be darker. So I'll just go ahead and shade the whole ear just a little bit. I mean, we don't want to make it too dark. But we also want to give it a little bit of three-dimensionality. And the way to do that is to think about where the darkest parts are going to be. The darkest part is going to be the inside of that little cavity where those scribbity-doop-dops are. But then it's also going to be darkest away from the source of light. So the bottom left is going to be darker, and the top is going to be a little lighter. Now, we'll talk about transitioning from there into the cheek in the next video. But let's go ahead and move to this side. Again, if the top right is being lit, you could put like a highlight there, but it's not going to be shiny usually. So what we'll do is we'll shade very lightly up there. Again, make the scribbity-doop-dop the darkest spot. Those little lines are going to be the darkest. And shade the bottom a little bit more than you shade the top. And again, get the whole ear shaded just a little bit. Maybe not too much. Maybe I could use my eraser and pull out some highlights along the top edge. But we'll talk again about how to continue that and into the cheek in the next video.